Suppose we ran an experiment in a greenhouse and we have three treatments W, X and Z, and we ran it as a CRD where there is no restriction on randomization, and total replicates we have are 5 for each variety, so total experimental units are 15, and we place them anywhere we want in the greenhouse. And since we ran it as a CRD, so this will be our linear model. So in the linear model we will have Yij is equal to mu plus tau plus Eij. So we have treatment and error term, and they are there in the ANOVA table as well. So this is the model or variety which is actually the treatment. So here we have these W, X and Z. These are the three varieties of suppose it's a crop species, and the error degrees of freedom here are 12, and the model are varieties. Since they are 3, the degrees of freedom are 2, and this is the sum of square for the model term or for the treatment term. And we have the sum of square for error, and that is 254, and the mean squares are the sum of squares divided by respective degrees of freedom. uh, this one for mean square for the model or treatment, which is variety here, is 36.61, and mean square for the error here is 21. The F value is 1.73. The result is non-significant. But we realize that in this design there is one issue, that we are seeing some gradient here, and this gradient is light gradient. So maybe suppose we have a light source on this side. uh, this is towards the light source, and the various sections of this greenhouse, they are exposed to some light gradient. So here we have more light as far as these experimental units are concerned, and here we see less light. So there is a better approach to this, and that's called as blocking. So we introduce blocking here, and we run it with what we call it as the randomized complete block design, RCBD. In RCBD, we take those experimental units and place them in various blocks, and so that, for example, if we have this gradient, these experimental units should be getting the same level of the gradients. And what we do over here is, when we introduce those blocks, we make sure that in each block representatives from each variety is represented there. These were those varieties, and these were the numbers, or for example our yields, which we are recording the responses. So X and Z and W. So all three varieties are here in block 1, here in block 2 as well, block 3, 4 and 5. That is the restriction on this randomization, that every treatment should appear at least once in those blocks. So no treatments should be missed from those blocks. So all of the representatives from all treatments, they should be present in all blocks, so that they should have the equal chance of getting advantage or disadvantage of this gradient thing. The linear model for RCBD changes a little bit, and in the linear model we also put the block term here. So that is this beta and j, that represents the blocks here. Rest of the things are the same. So Yij is equal to mu plus tau I represents treatments, and its degrees of freedom are t minus 1. For block, the term is beta j, and the degrees of freedom are b minus 1, and the error term is the product of this degrees of freedom for treatment and block. So it is t minus 1 into b minus 1. Again, Yij is the observed value for experimental unit that has zth block and had the ith treatment level. Treatment here is variety, mu is the grand mean, and tau represents the effect of ith treatment. And it is written here that we will consider this fixed for now, but it can be a random or a fixed thing. Fixed means we can reproduce these results same, and the if we do it next time, we expect that we will have the same results, whereas the random effects have a random chance of little variation depending upon some probability distribution, though for this course we are not talking much about these things, but just to let you know that we have these models as random effects and fixed effects. Beta j is the effect of the jth block. We will consider this fixed for now again. And Eij is the random error associated with response from experimental unit in the jth block and had the IF treatment. And this is assumed to be NID, normal and independent, and should have a mean of 0 and a variance of sigma square. These are the assumptions that should be met for the ANOVA. So NID 0 sigma square. Normal and normal distribution and independent sampling, and a mean of 0 and variance as sigma square. And we assume that the varieties are having equal variances. We may test them, or we draw the diagrams and see it there. So here we suppose the conditions are met, so we are good to go with RCBD. The RCBD ANOVA looks like this. So we have the terms in the in the model. Blocks was there, and degrees of freedom for blocks was b minus 1, and for treatment we had it was t minus 1, and for error it was the product of b minus 1 and t minus 1. The sum of squares for block can be calculated like this: y bar dot j. So what we do over here is we go for each block, and we calculate the mean for the yield of those varieties in each block. And this first dot represents it is taken from all of those treatments. So, and we do it for j is equal 1 first block and second and third and all of them, and we calculate their deviations from the grand mean, and we sum them up and we square them, because sum of deviations is 0. And so since we want to calculate the standard deviation, and so we cannot average them, since we don't have the sum, so we square them. So these are the square deviations are, as a result, when we average them we get their variances, which are here. And then we for the blocks we multiply the whole term with t, the number of treatments, and for the treatments we multiply with blocks here b. And over here the change is that it is y bar I represents I can be 1 first treatment, second and third, and whatever the number of treatments we have. And this dot represents it is calculated, this average is calculated across all blocks for treatment number 1 and then 2 and 3, and then obviously the deviation of this term from the grand mean, and we square that and multiply with and sum them up and then multiply with b. So that gives us this sum of square for the treatment. Now for the error term, a little bit complicated and ugly, but this how we calculate the sum of square for the error term. And these sum of squares, when they are divided by their respective degrees of freedom, we will get their mean squares. So this is SSB divided by b minus 1, so that is the mean square for block, SST by t minus 1 mean square for treatment, and same way MSE SSE for the error term divided by its degrees of freedom will give us the mean square for the error. These are the variances actually. So this is s square b, we can call this thing as s square b, and this thing is s square t, and this is our s square within the treatments are what we call it as the error term. And now we have these two f tests, one for block term and one for this treatment. And remember, whenever we are doing these f tests, all the time our denominators are those mean squares of errors. So MSE term is always here down there as a denominator, and we do it for the blocks, and we do it for the treatment, and see if our results are significant or not. If the results are significant, that means we applied a good model. and blocking works well, and there was the need for the blocking, and obviously the treatment effect can also be separated. So let's see how are our ANOVA results. In order to do this or calculate all those terms, this is how we do that. We don't need to go into all this and calculate them, but this is how they are calculated. Feels little ugly, but this is what it is. So we sort the experimental units variety wise on rows and column wise in blocks, and we sum both ways. Some of those these varieties across all blocks is giving us the means for those varieties, are treatment means. Varieties here are treatments. We do for X and we do for Z as well. Same way for the blocks, the sum should be across all the members of those varieties there, and we get their averages. So this way we get the block means for all of those blocks, and whether you go this way or that way, finally your means are like this, and there's the average across this, and should be equal to, obviously the replicates here are placed in the block, so uh, these two terms, this way and this way, and they should be the total means will be the grand means will be the similar. And now we get those deviations of each of those terms, or each of those observations or experimental units and their responses from the grand mean, and that gives us the total sum of squares. We did that before in CRT as well, and then this how we calculate their treatment mean minus grand mean squares into B, so there, and then sum of all these terms would give us the treatment sum of squares, block sum of squares as T into block mean minus grand mean square this, and T is the number of treatments. For the blocks we multiply with T, and for the treatment sum of square we multiply with the B's, B for blocks, and we calculate the block sum of square, the error sum of square, a little bit ugly, and finally we have our sum of squares, and we construct our ANOVA table like this. Sum of squares again divided by their respective degrees of freedom will give us the mean squares. Mean square for blocks, mean square for variety or treatment or model, and the mean square for error. And then the two f values, mean square for blocks divided by mean square error will give us the f for blocks. Same way the f for variety or treatment, that's the mean square for treatment divided by the error term, and both the terms are significant. So previously when we had done this thing as CRD, the results were non-significant. I want you to note this thing, that if you look into the degrees of freedom, so here it was 2 and 12, and this stays as 2 in the treatment, but out of those 12, 4 of them they go here in the block. So actually the error term that's why we called it error, because error means the unexplained variation in our experiment, right? So now we split it and try to explain it a little bit with the help of those blocking. So, and so 4 of those degrees of freedom from this 12 they go up here, and if you look into the sum of squares, it's actually the again this sum of square is then split into sum of square for blocks and sum of square for error. So here we are not putting or throwing everything in the error term, and we are modeling them with the blocks, and we are explaining that there is the variation in our data set and there was a gradient, so we captured through blocks, and now we see that the blocking was effective, the result is significant, and same way our treatment effect is also captured. Now the since the error term is reduced, the F test gives us the significant results, and we are able to highlight or find out, extract the effect of the treatments here. So this is one approach, or the experimental design, RCBD, and we have the pros and cons for any of those experimental designs. So it depends upon experimental choice, the how he plans his experiment. So this we feel like, and as far as this example is concerned, this approach works well.